Hi everyone, this is Alex Theodoro and you're listening to the Startup Sit Down. Hey everyone, Alex here. I'm super excited to have our next guest today. She is amazing. She's the founder and CEO of Boom Room. I'm here with Anna. Thanks for coming in, Anna.
Thanks so much for having me.
Awesome, amazing. So I think what everyone probably wants to know is, what's a Boom Room? Tell us a little bit about it.
So, yeah, the simplest way to describe what we do is we are an online platform that helps fitness professionals grow their businesses online. This was a COVID idea that I came up with. I've always been super passionate about fitness, and over the pandemic, or was planning on going to work in New York City the summer after my senior year of college, and obviously working in entertainment in New York City was not going to happen during the shutdown. So decided to go back to business school, and leading up to that, over the summer, I just decided to study and get my personal training license, got really into that just to kill some time. And then I was also taking all these incredible live Zoom classes with some of my favorite instructors from Charlotte, North Carolina. That's where I'm from originally. And just fell in love with the experience. It was like all my friends on this awesome Zoom class. There was like 60 people in the class. Just having your name called out, it's just incredible energy, and was just awesome during that time, because obviously you're not seeing your friends that much. You're just hiding in your living room. And so I'm sitting there like jumping up and down with wine bottles as weights and just like sweating in this small space. And it was just this really cool experience. And from the trainer's perspective, it was a great way for them to make a full, just a decent amount of revenue. Normally when they work at a studio or a gym, they take a large percentage of that trainer's cut. So doing this was a way for that trainer to get all of the commission from these classes they were hosting. So it was a really cool, just aha moment in terms of how do we help these trainers run a side hustle or full-time business and give them an easy tool set to really streamline the process. Because I don't know if you guys have ever taken these live Zoom classes, but from my experience, it was sending Zoom links and trying to Venmo somebody and trying to get the password to a Vimeo live recording or whatever it might be. It was just all of these moving parts. It just made it really hard to streamline the process of just joining one live class or watching one on-demand video from one of my favorite instructors. So really just the idea came out of, how do we simplify this from the trainer and really give them the power to run their own businesses and build something great.
Incredible. That's incredible. And so how were you able to test that out early on? I mean, it sounds like there's a lot of moving parts. You're checking off a lot of boxes. You've kind of seen what works, but most importantly, what doesn't work. And so, like, how did you validate it and know that this was something that was worth pursuing and making this, effectively, your path forward in life in some ways?
Yeah. So, well, like I mentioned before, I was about to start MBA school, and we were taking a bunch of prerequisite classes on Zoom. So not only was I spending 7 hours of my day on Zoom watching these classes, but I was also doing my workout on Zoom. And I was like, okay, we got to get the hell off of Zoom. This is just too much. It's not a good experience. Like, I'm sick of doing this. And think about it from the trainer's perspective. They didn't really like it too. The music sounded bad. Just the whole scheduling payment system was terrible. So there was a really big problem on both sides, just not being a great client experience. And then an even bigger problem from the trainer's perspective, just because of all the heavy lifting and organization and moving parts they had to get together just to put on these classes. So I just started calling up trainers in Charlotte who were running these Zoom classes. Most people were, just because they were out of work and it was the only option. And from everyone, it was just like, I mean, I don't know much longer I can do this. I mean, it's really great because I'm getting all this money, but it's such a hassle. There's no way for me to organize the process. Like, the music's so tricky. Sometimes I can't see people. Like, it was just like all of this like tech chaos. And if you know the fitness instructor, they just want to show up and teach the class. Like, they don't want to have to deal with all of these different softwares and subscriptions just to put on one 45-minute strength cardio class or whatever it might be. So I just really saw the pain points for the instructor, and I was basically like, how do we create an easy, like a 90-year-old could use it? We have stuff like on-demand, an on-demand library that you can charge a subscription for, live video hosting, so you don't have to use Zoom anymore. That was our first saying, was, why Zoom when you can film? So it was all about creating the best live class experience.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love the play on words. I love it. So, and at what point in the conversations did you, with these individuals, did you feel like, I'm starting to hear a pattern. I'm starting to hear things that validate not just what me and maybe a handful of people I talked to, but like, how did you know this was like an actual thing that affected many, many people? Like, was there any sort of moment in time that stands out to you?
Well, yeah, just honestly talking to a lot of my friends who were taking these classes with tons of other different instructors I had never heard of. So it was just this huge trend that, I mean, they were basically forced into hosting these classes or else they weren't going to make any money. So
Mm,
what that did was really get fitness instructors really out of their comfort zone. Like they had no option but to start like running a virtual business or else they weren't going to get paid. So
right.
because of that, it just opened up this new trend of like, oh my God, I didn't realize that I can make $500 with like in one class. Like I have like
Yeah.
60 people in the class paying whatever, 20 bucks a class, whatever, how much that is. You know what I'm saying? Like it was this amazing amount of money that they're not really used to seeing after hosting like one Barry's class or one Soul Cycle class. So it was really just like, okay, I could keep doing this post pandemic as like a side hustle on top of my job at a studio or a gym, just to make that passive revenue, charge a subscription for on demand, host one live class a week, like that kind of thing. So just a really eye-opening experience that I could see and the trainers could see the opportunity even
Mm.
post-pandemic. So that's where I really started to lock in.
That's amazing. And so you got this information, you asked the questions, you figured it out, you kind of had that aha moment as you mentioned. And then what was next? How did you know where to begin, what to build, what, how to build it? Like, it just seems like there's a lot of, like, it's exciting. I'm excited. And so I'd love to, and I think others would love to hear, like, what was next?
Yeah, well, I had no idea what was next. So I just started calling people because I was like, I gotta validate this, see if it has some wheels. In the meantime, I was in my first semester of business school, which was not easy to say the least. So didn't have a ton of time to do anything besides just call people. And I got the validation I needed to actually feel comfortable pursuing it full time and like really honing in. So around January, I was like, I'm just gonna like file for an LLC. I'm gonna call it Boom Room Fitness LLC. I love the name Boom. And I was trying to think of something more hype than Zoom. So I was like, oh, Boom rhymes with Zoom. And then Room being it,
Nice.
you're gonna be doing it in your room. So that's kind of the story behind the name. But registered for that. And then I was like, okay, I guess I'm building a tech platform. I'm like, how the hell do I build? I was like, I did not know I was signing up for this. So I'm like, I guess I got to find someone to build this thing because I clearly do not know how to code. So just started utilizing some networks and asking my professors at school and had just I just wanted to build a prototype. I was like, what is this going to look like? What kind of tool sets are we going to have on here? What is possible? Like, I didn't even know if you could embed, like, I didn't even, I was at the beginning trying to build my own Zoom, which costs like millions and millions of dollars. And I was like, oh, there's things called an API that you can embed. Like all this stuff was like, wow. So doing that and just trying to pull all the pieces together, I interviewed a ton of engineers, probably like 15, and every single one of them wanted like 50K for a prototype. And I was like, I've never done this before, so I didn't really know what the price point was. But for some reason, my gut was like, okay, that something feels a little iffy about this.
Yeah, yeah.
And I finally got to talk to a friend who is actually a really successful entrepreneur right now. Who's been a great mentor to me just for the past year. Past 2 years. Wow. And he was like, I have a friend, like I'll hop on the call. I'm talking to him on the phone. And then he like brings in this other guy on the phone. And then that guy brings on this other guy on the phone, who's my engineer today, Kane. And he's like, oh yeah, I can do that for $5,000. And I was like, okay, now we're talking.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
got a little money from friends and family to build the prototype. And then from there, we started showing some trainers. They got all excited about it. We put together a group of 15 founding instructors, we called them, that were giving us feedback, getting on the platform, playing with the prototype, telling us what features they needed, what features were not as relevant. And from there, we really just built out the whole platform into what it is today and launched the beta this past January.
Amazing. Congrats. That's super exciting. And so, like, so you launched the beta, it's out, people are using it. You got this hype kind of, you've been building, you're checking the boxes, for these fitness professionals, but also for the people who need to get fit or are working towards it. So like, what's been the early response like so far?
So, not not beautiful as as it goes in startup. So once we launched in January, it was definitely like the minimum viable product, as they call the MVP. Like it was just like the basic we could get to just start testing. So we were on there testing live classes with this is before we had on demand. It was just live. Me and Charlotte, my product manager, were jumping in all these classes. I mean, I was probably in the best shape of my life, so I was taking all these classes all the time just to test the software. But from that, we realized, okay, there's not that much hype around it. We weren't spending any money on marketing and advertising. Sorry, and so we were just trying to think like, why are people not signing up for this? Like we were calling people like just like through that kind of sales approach. Just we didn't have a lot of money left, to be honest, and we had a lot of development to do moving forward. So we were like, okay, like something's not clicking. Like the industry's changing a lot. Live video is not as important as it was in August of 2020 when I first came up with this concept. People want on demand. They want to be able to offer more stuff. Like there's got to be more options in terms of like what these trainers can sell to their clients. So we really just like pushed the brakes on sales outreach and all this stuff and just went right back into the product, basically closed things down for a little bit. We'd learned a ton. So that from January to about May, we were testing the entire software. And that was a great time for us just because we really took another look at the market and what was changing in terms of like, okay, live video is not as important anymore. We've got to add some more features in there to make this product actually valuable and a competitive product for other people, and more competitors showing up in the space, like all this stuff. So we really just pumped the brakes, came back together, and we're like, okay, we've got to build out some sort of like CRM. These people got to have a way to acquire customers and retain the ones they have. So setting up a system like that. And then the biggest aha, which is what we're going, our new pivot now, is you can't just give fitness professionals a technology platform and expect them to blow up on it. First of all, it's because they're fitness professionals. They're not business people. So that was the big like, duh, we got to support these people and giving them the foundations they need, the business foundation that is, to actually run a successful business on our platform. Because the way our pricing was set up, and we're in the midst of changing a lot of this right now, but the way it was set up was a commission-based model. So we were only successful if the trainers on our platform were successful. So if they weren't good, then we weren't good. So giving them that business foundation that tells them exactly how to understand how to run a side hustle or a full-time gig like this using our technology was the most needed aspect of this whole shebang. So right now we're about to launch a basically mini accelerator program. We're calling it the Boom Factor. Just came up with that name a couple of days ago. Kind of like
Nice.
Giving that trainer everything they need to be just absolutely exceptional in what they do. So whether that's their actual product, so like how they're showing up in the class, like how they greet their clients, how they structure the music, like all the stuff that you get just being in the class with that person, and then helping that person with that product, their unique product they have, build a brand around their name. So people know them when they go to their gym or their boutique studio, or whether they're running their side hustle on Boom Room. And then also combining that with the business knowledge to actually to make them successful long-term and be able to run these successful side hustles or full-time gigs. So it's really 3 aspects. We're teaching them how to create an incredible product, how to create a brand around your name, and then how to build that product and brand and make it into a business for yourself. So we're really excited about this new thing. It's no one out there is doing it right now. So that's going to be the new gear we shift into, but still with our technology being like the hosting site, but more focus on building out tech, because it's kind of a foot race who can build out the features the most fast, and that's not really what we want to focus as much anymore. We'll still have it, but more so diving into the educational aspect and how we can make these people just exceptional in what they do.
Yeah, and you're also empowering them in the process, right? Because if you empower them, you give them that independence, that freedom to kind of flex those muscles, and both literally and metaphorically, and able to, really become those champions on the platform, right? And it sounds like so far, it sounds like you guys are kind of really hitting the nail on the head with that, right? And so, but I'd love to know, like, what was like the biggest kind of like the most exciting experience of this entire process that you mentioned? What's the thing that stands out the most to you?
Honestly, just my goal throughout all of this, like I love the concept of entrepreneurship. And a lot of trainers want to be that, but are just scared to get into that on their own because it's hard. It's hard starting a business. It's hard figuring out what tools you got to use to get things going, all that stuff. And the real mission around Boom Run, it hasn't changed since the get-go, is how do we put the power back into the Fit Pro? How do we help these people not have to always go and work at a corporate gym and get their 80% commission take or whatever it is? Like, how do we arm these people to be successful on their own if they want to be? Or how do we give them the tools that they can be so successful in those studios or gyms? So it's really about making these people have more resources, giving them the tools to be an entrepreneur and run their own gig, because that's what we're all about. So yeah, I guess that's the most exciting part, is me building a business as well, and then watching our customers try and build businesses as well. So it's kind of a cool dynamic.
Yeah. And is there any sort of, so you mentioned you're building, you're iterating, you've kind of made this bit of a pivot into what you feel is a much more, I guess you could say, like, ideal, product alignment with the people and the community you're trying to build. Is there any specific, features, releases, updates, anything you want to share with the people listening?
I guess just we're continuing, obviously, to roll out more product features just to support what we want them to be doing, or what they're learning in this program. We're going to have tools that support all of those learnings, like in terms of selling, custom offerings, being able to sell ebooks, PDFs, like all that kind of thing. So just really now making the product fit our new pivot in this educational aspect. And yeah, we're slowly truckling along. We've got a small team, but we're making it happen. And we're hopefully going to we're looking to raise another round going into the next year. And so hopefully we can keep things moving forward from there. But yeah, just our team's incredible. Everyone is just young, high energy, passionate about the creator economy. It's basically what we're serving with this. And yeah, it's just been an awesome experience. Not an easy one, but definitely an awesome one.
Amazing. Yeah. And very admirable, of course. What's the future of the product? Like, looking ahead, 5-10 years from now, we kind of heard the story, starting where it was, coming before pandemic, post pandemic, now post, and kind of even just into the future. Like, what does the future of Boom Room look like to you? And what's like the type of impact you're looking to have in the world?
My grand vision would probably be to make exceptional fitness brands using people, and the people being the fitness professionals, helping them create a brand around their name and being able to have so much more revenue opportunities because of that, whether that's advertising opportunities, whether that's growing in their boutique or their studio and getting that higher salary, or starting their own side hustle or full-time gig using Boom Room as their hosting platform. Really, it's just to help these people make an incredible, successful career in the fitness space.
Wonderful. Well said. Well, thank you so much, Anna, for coming in. And I appreciate you taking some time to share us a bit about the Boom Room journey and the boom factor and all the booms.
Lots of booms.
Yeah, lots of boom. I can tell it's definitely one of the top words that you love. But no, that's incredible. Love the story and love what you guys are doing. And so thanks for coming in. And yeah, congrats on all the amazing things, and looking forward to seeing more. Can you let people know where they can find you online, and where they can get in touch?
Yep, absolutely. So you can follow us on Instagram. It's just at boomroom.fit. And then our website is www.boomroom.fit. And yeah, that's where we're at. Check us out.
Perfect. Thanks, Anna.
All right. Thanks so much. Bye.
Take care. Bye.